More acquisitions and deacquisitions. Halo finally drops Season 2, and we fangirl over the coming Hell Let Loose update. Grab your blanket and get cozy. There's a lot to discuss by this fire. Hello and welcome to the Campfire Gaming Podcast. My name is Matt. I will be your host tonight. Thanks for joining us on this wonderful episode. We got a lot of fun and exciting stuff to talk about. Joining me tonight is the one, the only Rich. How are you doing, Rich?
Oh, I'm doing good, Matt. How are you doing?
Ready to, what'd we say, fangirl over some Hell Let Loose?
Oh, I'm ready to fangirl over, I'm always ready to fangirl over some Hell Let Loose. It's no secret that the Campfire Gaming Podcast is a very big fan of Hell Let Loose.
Yes, we are. And speaking of Hell Let Loose, and how big of fans we are, if you ever want to play with us, feel free to jump over to our Discord. We try to kind of play every now and then, and we usually get some fans and some other people in the Discord that join us. So you can find links to our Discord and socials by going to campfiregamingpodcast.com. And there you can find, like I said, links to Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the fun, normal stuff that most everybody has when they do exciting things like podcasting.
And Discord, too.
Yep, and Discord. Yep, and a link to our Discord. Yeah, we were just talking about it.
Yep.
So, but before we get into the episode here, kind of some quick announcements real quick. Just we've been covering each week the Halo TV series, so be sure to check out our weekly reviews of the episodes shortly after they drop. So come on over and listen to mine, Heather's, and Rich's thoughts on the Halo TV series.
Rants, raves, mostly rants.
Yeah, mostly ranting, but yeah. So they drop every Wednesday, so be sure to check those out. Also, we just finished up April's book club game, so be sure to check out our episode there on Chicory: A Colorful Tale. But be sure to pick up May's book club game, Alice Madness Returns, and play along with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts on a very twisted world of Alice, or at least as far as this video game delves in there. So I've actually never read the book.
Neither have I.
Have you ever read? Yeah.
No, yeah, I've never read the book. I've only seen the Disney movie.
Is that one of those like they're actually like a dark fairy tale, but like what most people know it as is like the fun, friendly Disney movie, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's a much more darker fairy tale, which is why a lot of the other media besides the Disney movie in particular is pretty kind of twisted.
Yeah.
I think Johnny Depp was. I think he was in one of the new versions of like Alice or something like that. I don't remember what the movie was called.
Yeah, it was one of. I know they did an Alice a few years ago, but no, maybe we need to do an actual book club and read the book. But anyways,
ugh, gross. I don't want to read.
Exactly right.
I want to play video games. I don't want to read.
Yep. But yeah, so be sure to pick up Alice Madness Returns, or you can play it on EA Play via Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So
there you go.
But
got another Game Pass game.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. But if you have Ultimate, you do have to have Ultimate. So because it is using the EA Play part of the service, and that's only
right.
And that's part of the one of the better or the additional features for having Ultimate. So,
well, I'm sure that'll be a fun one to talk about.
Yes, it'll hopefully a fan favorite is returning to chat with me about it. Should be a good time.
Woo!
But enough with announcements and socials. Let's dig into what we came here to talk about: acquisitions, right? Because we can't get enough of those. I mean, between that, blockchain, and NFTs. I mean. I hope our dear listeners are not getting sick and tired of us talking about it, but fortunately or unfortunately, it's a very big part of the news the last couple months. And most recently, what dropped yesterday or a few days ago by the time you're listening to this, is the Embracer Group will be acquiring Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal, all of these from Square Enix. I think what are they, LTD, whatever their actual core company's called. So
They're
three
being
kind of,
bought from Square Enix,
yeah.
so it's like a transfer of hands.
So it's kind of like part. Sounds really like, well, no surprise for the Crystal Dynamics side, since Square Enix came out saying they were not too happy with the sales of the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. So this
Mm-hmm.
might be them just going like trying to wash their hands of that studio and moving it somewhere else. So that was not a huge surprise to me. But Eidos Montreal and Square Enix Montreal were kind of big, but I don't know the thought process. Well, we'll get into a little bit here in a second on what at least Square Enix shared with us, but it was kind of caught me off guard seeing that they were selling part of their studios. How did you feel about it?
I'm not really sure. Like, I didn't honestly have an opinion one way or the other because there's like a lot of these studios that they were getting rid of. I was just kind of like, oh, I mean, I've heard of them, but I haven't really
Mm-hmm.
played a lot of the things that have come out of those studios. I'm not really a big Square Enix fan, so I don't like, I don't play things like the Final Fantasy series or the Tomb Raider
Mm-hmm.
series or like any of the stuff that's come out of like Crystal Dynamics or anything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I don't really have much of a strong opinion one way or the other than I don't know. I guess like Square Enix doesn't seem like it's that great of a company to be under. I don't know much about the Embracer Group if I'm being honest with you, so I don't know if this is going to be a good change of hands or a bad change of hands,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
can't imagine that breaking away from Square Enix. I think the only I think the only real, I guess you could call it studio or game that a lot of people seem to be really, really pleased with is Final Fantasy 14. And that's
mm-hmm.
like kind of the big one that everyone is like, unanimously loved by its player base and by the community in general. Everything else seems to be, everyone's kind of sneers a bit at Square Enix for a lot of their practices.
Yeah.
So probably a
And they
good
might be
thing.
do some more sneering here too, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't as big of a shocker as like Microsoft acquiring Activision, but
Right. Yeah.
the I think the Crystal Dynamics kind of caught me, especially since they did have a pretty good track record making good games. Again, you can argue Avengers and stuff, but from what I've heard, assuming you don't dig into the games as a service stuff, the core like just playing through it once type, the story or whatever was a lot of fun. So the fact that was kind of sold off kind of did catch me by surprise. But yeah, again, it wasn't as big of a splash as Activision getting acquired, but yeah, and a little bit about Embracer Group. They have been picking up more and more companies over the years. Some of those publisher or studios that we might have heard of is things like Deep Silver, TH Nordic, Gearbox. So I mean, those are some big ones. Deep Silver, obviously, just recently, uh, what is it? Put out Dying Light 2, and then obviously Gearbox. Everybody knows Borderlands and all that. So they've got some studios under them, and now adding things like Crystal Dynamics and the
Mm-hmm.
other two here.
Yeah. So they're just
So
getting even fatter.
yeah, we keep saying this every time we have more acquisition stuff to talk about, but I want off this roller coaster.
I
Like I'm
know.
ready for it to be done.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, like, dude, it's not going to be done anytime soon. There's gonna like we're getting like I don't remember how many episodes ago I said it, but we're in monopoly territory right now, where it's like not like there's going to be a monopoly, but I mean like we're playing the game Monopoly, and everybody's trying to buy up the
Just
properties.
yep, and we got a few more other things to chat about in line with that comment, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, and we kind of again kind of as I mentioned, is kind of unsure why Square Enix was doing this kind of in general, but they did kind of put out a little bit of a statement, which was a surprise, and again might get a little bit more flack from the fans. Is they're saying they're able to use let's see, I'm sorry, they sold Crystal Dynamics, Eidos, and Square Enix Montreal for roughly 300 million USD. So they were
That
saying
seems
they're
like
now able.
not a lot.
It
Does it
doesn't,
seem like a
yeah, it didn't.
lot to you? That seems pretty low. Maybe I'm
That I
just
mean,
used to like yeah, like I don't know, maybe
the
like
big
it's like
billion-dollar
like
purchases, yeah.
yeah, like those $1 billion purchases, those massive acquisitions. It's like, oh yeah, just a cool 300 million. That's no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we've had just a couple bombshells this year with Activision for what was it, 67 billion, and I know it's not gaming, but like Twitter for 43 billion. So yeah, so 300 million. It's like, oh, it's not that much, but I
I mean,
mean,
I
I'd
wouldn't
love.
complain with 300 million. Yeah,
I know, right? Yeah, I'd love it. I might start buying my own studios if I had that money.
there you
Obviously,
go.
not on big ones like this, probably,
Mm-hmm.
but they did mention that the kind of they were going to use these funds to inject into or invest into their blockchain AI and cloud initiatives, which again, cloud I think could be, I think that's another thing that's been kind of hot for the last couple of years. And we recently talked about Ubisoft Scalar, I think is what it was called,
Yes.
where they have cloud based stuff.
Yep.
Obviously, good AI, but that I would not. I would guess that is kind of machine learning AI, not like your video game AI, state based
Yes.
stuff.
Right. I would imagine
But
that's what that is. Yeah.
yeah, and then blockchain, which is everybody's hot topic. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting to see if they start getting kind of some more shit from the rest of the community. But again, they've also already been taking flack for it because they've mentioned multiple times about wanting to create some like play to earn games and things like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, because Sony, like, didn't Sony get a lot of shit for this too? Because they want to really dive into play to earn, or was it just
Early the
I
early
don't
this
remember
year,
who
there was
else?
a couple
Yeah,
companies. Yeah.
yeah, because I thought like the one of the executives from Sony came out and started talking about how they wanted to really dive into play to earn, and I think this was just shortly after I think like Gran Turismo came out too,
Hmm.
where they were talking about wanting to, essentially double down on play to earn. Like they're really, really high on this idea of play to earn blockchain
I
stuff.
think I think it's actually Square Enix here because they really want to. They recognize there's people who want to, what is it, where they call it here, play to have fun. But there's a large
Yeah.
group out there that want to play to earn, and they want to kind of start building. But yeah, I mean, I think
Okay, maybe that was just
Sony's,
Square. I thought like Sony had mentioned this at some
but
point that they wanted to
I
get involved with this, but yeah, maybe I'm misremembering.
I think Sony, was it Konami, Sega, I think EA, and then obviously Ubisoft. I think all of those were again early this year on that the blockchain NFT game gang,
Hmm.
and they kind of just jumped on it, said we're doing it.
Well, I mean,
But
yeah, it's kind of like everybody's favorite buzzword right now is blockchain and
mhm,
jumping on board, trying to sell NFTs and all that.
yeah. So, but I think Square Enix here was the one that was kind of referring what you were referring to, that they really wanted to kind of put some focus into that. So I guess they have 300 million to do that with now. They should probably just use that for their AI and cloud initiatives. And again, not shitting on blockchain. There's uses for it. I like it.
Yeah,
But
blockchain can be pretty cool. It's neat, very cool tech. But yeah, I don't trust that Square Enix is going to be using it for a cool tech reason and more or less a greedy, money making reason.
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe that 300 million will go into actually finding a good solution or good use case for blockchain in gaming,
I mean, that
because there's
could.
there's plenty out there, and I think majority of them we haven't discovered yet. Um, we're just people like Ubisoft are just kind of using it as the next iteration of horse armor or loot boxes
Right. Yeah, because
or
I
whatever,
wonder,
right?
like, in your opinion, what if you were to lean one way or the other? What would your betting hand go to? Would it go to Square Enix trying to innovate with the blockchain, or make or cash out on blockchain?
If they're throwing 300 million at it, I hope it's innovation. But they have talked about the play to earn stuff, which I'm not into play to earn games, so I can't really say they're good or bad one way or the other. How much, if they're successful, I guess, right? There are games out there. We shouted about a few of them the other week that are struggling currently right now to kind of continue keeping their player base. We talked about that the other week about, oh, what was it? Was it Block World or something? And
Oh,
Axie
like Horizon
Affinity.
Worlds and all
Yeah,
that. Yeah, and like oh, what was that other one? Crypto Land or something.
I think it's something like that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
people play them, so I guess there's some fun there to be had. But like, yeah, I mean, I really hope that they it's Square Enix, so again, or well, it's just a large game publisher. So there's not a lot of hope there, but I hope most of that money is going towards, again, like I said, solving the use case for blockchain. Like, what's a good way to use this in gaming that isn't just the next level up of milking a player of all their hard-earned cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, like we've seen with loot boxes and horse armor and all that, ripping things out of the game and selling it as DLC, because they just want to, cash
Make
grab.
some extra
So
dollars. Yeah, I mean, this isn't an uncommon thing for the AAA industry to do, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's where Square Enix decides to go. Like I said, Square Enix has been kind of losing some goodwill on their player base because, they just haven't been the good guy in a lot of scenarios recently, unless you're a Final Fantasy 14 player.
yeah, which that had a rough start, didn't it?
Oh, it had an amazingly rough start. But the thing that was really interesting about Final Fantasy 14 is that the the developers of the game cared about the game enough that they decided to scrap it. They pulled
Yeah.
it off. They took the game offline for a couple of years and then they re-released it in a much better state. And now it's arguably the most popular MMO out there right now.
Hmm. Give me a minute. I'm gonna call 343 and give them some good ideas here. Uh,
Just pull it off the shelves and then go back to the drawing board. No,
yeah.
it's too late for that.
Yep. It's already been sent. There's no bringing it back.
Mm-hmm. That
So
text message can't be unread.
exactly right. It's on the blockchain, right? It's there forever.
Mm-hmm.
The last little bit here on the Square Enix Embracer Group acquisition news here is the initiative, which was most recently working with Crystal Dynamics on the Perfect Dark reboot, did come out shortly after all this news hit and said, "Hey, we're still going to be working with Crystal Dynamics. They're still working towards co-development on Perfect Dark. So nothing there should change. Uh, that could be for the good or the better. I know we talked about how the initiative has had a rough go at the Perfect Dark reboot. So it's probably good news that Crystal Dynamics is sticking with them. But we've yet to, I guess, see or hear more of that. But yeah,
I hope that game is good. That's a
I hope
franchise that I miss a lot.
I hope we get a little bit more information about it in the next month. So,
Yeah. Yep. I'm hoping so too.
chatting about Activision, we got a little bit of information on the current going ons with
The big buyout.
the big buyout here.
Mm-hmm. The not
The
$300 million one. It's the
Yep, the
$1 billion one.
67 billion or whatever it is. But
Mm-hmm.
both Activision and Microsoft's board of directors have approved the acquisition.
Oh man.
So, assuming that it'll go through all the regulatory approval, that's really just the last step going, and I'm sure there's a bunch of paperwork and other BS like that needs to happen. But really, the last kind of thing that needs to happen is it to be approved by, I don't know, who is that? Is that the not SEC? Who is?
Oh, the
Anyways, the
I think it
government.
is the SEC.
Is it? So
FEC?
whoever
Yeah.
SEC,
SEC?
SEC,
Yeah.
I
The
think.
government. The government
Yeah,
the government needs
to
to
approve it.
agree. Yeah, they need to approve
Yeah,
it. Yes. And so this is what going to happen in 2023?
yeah. It would happen at what is it, I think? What do we say? The end of like Microsoft's fiscal year, which ends I think June 2023. So again, we're still probably, oh, it says here June 30th, 2023. So end of Microsoft's next fiscal year. That like sometime between now and then really is when that'll happen. But
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah.
and shortly after we
If
got this
that's
in,
yeah, that's if.
yeah. But I mean, it's a big step that I mean, I'm sure they're getting a whole bunch of money. That's why they're all, the board of directors are all for this. But
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they're making quite a pretty penny over this deal.
yeah, I can't wait for us all to
And
find
they
out how
get to
much
bow out.
Bobby
Yeah.
Kotick's going to get.
Well, I was gonna say like, and they get their golden parachute to yeet out of all the problems facing Activision Blizzard right now.
God, yeah. And I mean, yeah, and we can actually, funny enough, we're actually seeing how much the business is getting hit from all this bad. Well, not just press. I mean, obviously the things happening are bad, but
Mm-hmm.
shortly after we found out the board of directors approved the acquisition, we also got some what is it, financial stuff from them. I think it was end of quarter, maybe it was the end of the year, whatever. Their company wide revenue was down 22% over the last year, which is quite a bit of money. What do we say? Year over year to 1.7 billion, while net bookings slid 29% to 1.48 billion. So they're between some lackluster products, some bad press, and all the internal turmoil in various studios, they're definitely taking a hit in the wallet, which is probably a big reason why the Activision board of directors are like, yeah, let's get us out of here, give us all the money, you
Mm-hmm.
can deal with this mess we made.
Yep. You can. It's your problem now, buddy.
Yep.
And I
So.
mean, this. And to be honest, though, a lot of this isn't super new. I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit more dramatic than it normally is for
Mhm.
their lost revenue. But I mean, one of the things that they always call out is that like when WoW is kind of sitting in a weird state between expansions and between patches is usually when they have a pretty low sub number. So they aren't
Mhm.
making very much money. I guarantee that that number is going to bump pretty big when. So they just announced that World of Warcraft Dragonflight is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be out this year or next year, but they announced the next expansion, and once that next expansion comes up, that revenue is going to bump up pretty heavy because that's kind of what always happens right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, they're just in between patches, in between expansions, and it's just kind of a lull for World of Warcraft, so it's going to be lower than normal. And yeah, COD Vanguard sucked, so that
Yep.
they
And I think,
lost out on that one, I guess.
yeah, I mean, they called out that poor sales of Vanguard kind of helped cause some. It wasn't the only factor, but and I know COD Warzone, I think, had a lot of issues, and a lot of the players were leaving that for a while. So I know that took a hit. And then, like you said, with WoW, but I mean, I imagine next year will be, or the next fiscal year, whatever, will be a little better because, like you said, new what is it? New God, what am I saying? Not DLC. That's all I'm thinking. New Warcraft, World of Warcraft expansion is coming out. There you go. I can use my words. I promise. Then we also have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 that has been confirmed to be the next Call of
Mm-hmm.
Duty.
Yeah.
So everybody loves that. So I imagine the hype train will probably get started very soon on that for, I'm assuming a fall release. And then I know COD Warzone is getting a pretty big revamp. I think sometime in the next couple months too. So those sales, or the revenue, will probably look a little better next year unless all of those things just are duds. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. And if you weren't sick and tired of acquisition news already, we have more people. We have a couple different people entering the chat here. Uh, so Ubisoft is supposedly reportedly, Ubisoft is reportedly being kind of I guess looked at from different firms to kind of figure out what is it, the preliminary takeover interest of, I don't know, some or all of its studios. So Ubisoft potentially could be on the market here soon, and we're getting
Wow.
more rumors. Yeah, big.
Yeah, the
Uh,
great consolidation, man.
God, if EA gets sold next, although I think they're one of the interested parties. No, they're the interested party in the next bit here. Warner Brothers, which we heard before, I think last year or 2 years ago now, I don't remember. They were reported to be interested in getting rid of their gaming sector, and I guess there's a couple interested parties in that already, which honestly they should be. The W game, or I'm sorry, the Warner Brothers like games side of stuff. They have some pretty cool studios,
Yeah.
so it's no surprise that EA, Take-Two, Microsoft, and Sony are all reportedly interested in Warner Brothers.
Who do you think's gonna win out in that one?
I
Who's
I
gonna
don't
get
know.
Mortal Kombat?
At this point, I'd be okay if it was neither Sony or Microsoft.
You think
You
EA
know,
deserves NetherRealm and
I
like
don't think EA or
Rocksteady?
Take. I don't think EA or Take Two deserves that. But it's
Yeah.
just there's just too many of these. You know, I'm an Xbox fanboy, and I'm still kind of iffy on the Activision acquisition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I like a lot more of the studios from Warner Brothers, it's just again, I don't like this consolidation. When it's
Yeah.
helpful, as we've said before, when it's helpful for studios like Double Fine, I'm all for that. That's fantastic, right? You're giving a kind of prime medium sized studio, we could call it, it like more money to kind of build out some really cool games, but just buying up everything and kind of consolidating it into the big three or five or however it's going to shake up here.
Mm-hmm.
Just not a fan. Um,
Right.
who do you think's going to win out?
Oh man. That one's gonna be a hard one. I'm gonna guess either Microsoft or Sony are gonna bet on that one. I think there's a couple of pretty good studios in here that I think that Microsoft or Sony would have a pretty vested interest in. Probably
Hmm.
Microsoft. Well, I would say Microsoft maybe more so than Sony, only because I know that Sony is looking to push more live service titles. So
Yeah,
like my guess would be is that Ubisoft and so like Sony might be more interested in buying Ubisoft is what I would imagine. So like they're gonna
I
go
yeah,
hard at getting Ubisoft because of, I mean, think of all the live service games that Ubisoft has. Think of that. What was it? What did we call that? The was it Scalar? Not Scalar.
yep. The
Was it
cloud
Scalar?
stuff, or
Yeah, the cloud stuff, right?
yeah,
Sony's kind of doubling up on all this. Like they're looking at a lot of back end tech. Like they're looking at
hmm,
that's why they acquired Bungie, right? That's why they're getting all the executives from Google Stadia to join up because they have this big project behind the scenes for this big like back end tech and these live service games to utilize this sort of tech. Ubisoft seems like it's a really good fit
yeah,
for what Sony's interests currently are. So I would imagine that Microsoft is going to try and beat Sony to that, but Sony is going to probably want it more. And so I think Ubisoft will end up going to Sony. Warner Bros will probably be a fight between Microsoft and EA. I don't know if
yeah,
EA is really, I don't know how interested they are in trying to acquire new studios. We haven't really seen a lot out of them lately. Like they
yeah,
they haven't really done anything.
and they're not going to have one of their EA Play Live things this year during Games Fest or E3 week or anything like that. So
And I think
yeah,
I think Take Two, in my opinion, is probably just too small. They're too small to compete with something like Microsoft.
yeah,
So my guess, my best guess, would be Microsoft would probably end up with a lot of those WB related studios.
I'd kind of be okay with that since Rocksteady. I'm trying to remember. I don't think any of the others did uh, DC games, but it would kind of suck if all the DC and a majority of the Marvel games were all on PlayStation. So you could, I mean, that would just add fuel to the console wars if you know Microsoft owned a lot of the rights to DC and Sony had a lot of rights to Marvel. That would be kind of
Right?
you know
I didn't think
add
about
that,
that, but that is pretty funny.
again. It's not all the DC and all Marvel games. Obviously, there's things like Avengers and Marvel's Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy that are
Yeah,
third
but if
party,
you
but
but yeah, when you have, things like the Batman games and um things like Injustice and all that. Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's kind of funny. It's funny.
yeah. So it'll be interesting. Again, all kind of rumors. Although I believe the Warner Brothers stuff a little bit more because we've heard that rumor for a lot longer. But the Ubisoft stuff was kind of a little bit of not a shock, but again, kind of a little bit more interesting. It'll be interesting to see if that actually happens, if they really are shopping themselves around. I don't remember any of the details, but I remember I think it was 4 or 5 years back. What is it? I forget his name. Who's the guy? Yev or something? I don't know. The guy in charge of Ubisoft over there, the CEO. I think he fought off. What company was it? It wasn't NetEase. He fought off a hostile takeover a few years back from
Oh, was that
whoever.
Tencent?
Might have been Tencent.
That sounds familiar. If it was I want to say that was Tencent. Might have been
Yeah,
NetEase too, but
but yeah. So it's just kind of interesting that he a couple years ago he fought that off just to potentially maybe rumored to be the looking into selling, or maybe they'll do the piecemeal thing like Square Enix, and just sell off a couple. Who knows?
yeah, just ditch a couple of them. I mean, that's what WB is doing.
Yeah. Yep. And because we can't talk enough about it, luckily this is just a small little story, but Gearbox is also entering the acquisition game. They are acquiring the studio Lost Boys Interactive, a remote studio, but they are also kind of have this sounds pretty cool, and I hope there's more studios like this in the future. I think tech in general is moving this way. They're a full remote studio, but they, I guess, have offices in Wisconsin and Texas. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess there are some people that kind of go into an office, but they're technically a remote studio.
That's cool.
But yeah, they I guess
And they mostly
they're
just help. I don't think that they
yeah
make completely original titles, as far as I'm aware.
they're just kind of like you said, yeah, helper studio. They helped on Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Surprise, why Gearbox wants to acquire them? Probably because they did a
Sure,
good job on
they
that.
must have done a good job. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much all your monthly or biweekly acquisition update. I'm ready for
Woo.
all that to be over with.
Who's gonna put up their hotels first? Who's gonna get all the railroads?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's been a few years now with Microsoft acquiring a bunch of studios, so we might start seeing more out of them this year from the studios they've acquired over the last 3 to 5 years. So we're starting to hit that point, right? Because it's not like buy a studio and well, I guess I'm wrong there because Activision's already got a ton of stuff in the pipeline, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times you buy the studio, it takes a couple years to kind of get a game out. So
Mm-hmm.
we're starting to hit that with a few of the studios that Microsoft
Oh
has
yeah,
acquired.
man. Yeah, we just saw that Blizzard had announced that they just launched a trailer for the Warcraft mobile game, and I mean, granted, I'm not super into that kind of stuff, uh, but you know that game is going to make some fat bank because it looks
Hmm.
exactly like Clash Royale or something like that. It looks exactly
Yeah.
like one of those kinds of games that you know that's going to make money hand over fist. So I'm like,
Hmm.
I bet that Microsoft is just salivating at this deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, they got a couple of their big IPs releasing. I guess not only mobile games, but also major releases with Diablo 4 coming. Obviously Call of
Mm-hmm.
Duty's we'll see if it continues to be, but yearly release. And that's always hot. So
Yep.
yeah, but mobile is. I mean, yeah, it's probably gonna rake in a ton between that and the Diablo mobile thing coming. So, but enough acquisitions and stuff. It's time to get salty.
All right.
So,
Are you ready? Got to roll
yeah,
up your sleeves.
we'll
Got to
try to keep it
drink some
under
water.
control, civil. I should have grabbed one of my really good double IPAs for this. Got a little buzzed to
There
work
you
through
go.
this, but it is our again. Seems like bi-weekly Halo update. I'm gonna do my best not
I'm
to.
gonna say, well, bi-weekly. I mean, there's nothing bi-weekly. This was 6 months that we took to get this update.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the good news. As of recording, and when you're listening to this, season 2 will be out. There is
It's
some
out right
decent
now,
stuff
yeah.
coming with it. Yeah, it's out. It's out as of recording here. We
Mm-hmm.
finally got some new modes: King of the Hill, Land Grab, Last Spartan Standing, which we got a little more information on that. It is. Let me read here. In this free-for-all experience, 12 players spawn on big team battle maps with a confined loadout. and 5 respawns. Once a player runs out of respawns and can no longer participate, they can either spectate or leave the match without penalty. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, kind of battle royale light,
I
or
mean, the
kind
the
of.
little bit, so the little bit that I did play of it, that's what it felt like. Is that
Mm-hmm.
it was like a battle royale light. And I say that because yeah, you only really have 12 people on the map and you got 5 lives and it's a free for all match.
Yep.
So the interesting thing, the little twist that they had on it though, is that like they have like this level up system within the game mode where when you get kills and things like that, you get experience points and then you can trade in that experience points to essentially quote level up. When you quote
Yeah.
level up, you get bigger and better guns basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it, the more kills, the more bloodthirsty you get, the more likely you are to probably win at the end because you're probably stacking up a whole bunch of kills. But I mean, yeah, so basically, you're on a big team battle map. As the people kind of get weeded out, it starts closing in more of the map to kind of force all the players towards each other, exactly like a battle royale. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's essentially what it is. It's a battle royale where you get a couple of extra lives. And I can see where this is going to be like these are the tools and like these are the found like this is like the foundation for building a battle royale into like a proper battle royale into Halo. Now I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how many players that battle royale would be able to support. With 12 players at least, honestly, Last Spartan Stand was actually kind of fun. I'm kind
Yeah.
of the only battle royale I'm really into right now is Apex Legends. I don't really like any of the other ones because I've never been that big of a fan of battle royale to begin with. So with this though, okay, it was kind of fun. There are still things around the map that you can go and pick up, like different kinds of grenades and power ups, like over shields
Mm-hmm.
and camos and things like that. So that's kind of cool. And like, it is very fun on its own so far. I mean, as a completely unique game mode to Halo Infinite, honestly, I can kind of appreciate this because it
Mm-hmm.
was different. It is different and it is actually kind of fun because you have to kind of think about, okay, like, do I want to go in and take this fight and risk getting killed, and losing a life because somebody can just kind of come out of nowhere and kill you and all that. You don't have radar, period, so it's, you have to you can sneak around the big parts of the map because one of the maps I did get to play on was the new one, and
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot of places to just like run around and kind of hide in like little nooks and crannies and things like that. So it gets a little, it does get a little intense, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah. Is there like a ring that gets smaller
Yeah,
or
like I said,
something?
it basically forces you into the middle, or like
Yeah.
it forces all the remaining players into a smaller area. So
Yeah.
eventually, yes, it will get tiny.
Get pretty tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you mentioned it, there's 2 new maps, Breaker and Catalyst, one BTB,
Mm-hmm.
one kind of a normal, I don't know, Slayer or existing map, or I don't know, what do you call it? The smaller maps. It's not BTB. Along with new season pass, a bunch of fixes and updates. Um, yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's out now. If you were looking forward to it, go play some.
Mm-hmm.
But was
Yeah.
there
So,
any other major things I missed from the season 2? I know we've chatted about it, but the
well,
big
I
ones were
mean,
the game modes, the battle pass, and the 2 maps.
yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, the new battle pass, they are starting off with an event, I think as well. But I think it has to do with the last Spartan standing thing, and I know
Yeah.
that they're going to be doing more events similar to how like they've been doing, like with the Tenrai event, and
Mm-hmm.
I think they did like the fracture events too, or they're
Yeah.
called fracture events. They're going to be doing more of those, I think. Uh, it's okay, it's, and then of course the other two game modes, last um land grab and King of the Hill, these are kind of classic, and I'm glad that, I mean, personally, I'm glad that King of the Hill is in. I really love King of the Hill, so
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be fun. Of course, this it still remains that, if you're going to go into, something like arena, you're kind of just rolling the dice on whether you're going to get King of the Hill or not. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's that sort of thing hasn't been fixed yet. If you are expecting that this season 2 update is going to just resolve everything that's wrong with the game, it's not. Like, there's still a lot of like, even it sounds like they've kind of introduced a few new problems, at least with the UI.
Hmm.
I've had some issues with that. With like when I first started up the game after I patched it, it was I was in a borderless window mode, but like my window started off in like the middle of the screen, so like the top left point of my window was in the center of my screen, and the whole rest of the game was like hidden on the other side of my monitor. And then once I got that fixed, it seemed like the loading times were really long, like exceedingly long, because
Like loading the map or like loading into a game?
both,
Like
like,
you okay.
yeah, loading into a game didn't like loading into the game seemed like it was a little bit longer than normal. But like what was really weird is that I don't know if I was just getting disconnected from the game, even though I told like so let me rephrase this a bit. So I was playing Last Spartan Standing. I lost. When you lose, you have the option to leave the game without penalty. So I'm hoping that that doesn't bug out and start banning people.
Yeah.
But you can leave the
Right.
game without penalty. And then when I left the game, I was just sitting at a loading screen for a really really long time. Like I was sitting at that little like that intermission screen where it's like showing the
Hmm.
top down view of some of like the Halo, the Zeta Halo or whatever. Yeah, I
Yep.
just sat there and spun for a while. And so I'm just sitting here like, why the hell is it taking so long to just load back into the menus? It was yeah. So those are the couple of
It's
issues that I've already run into. Um Supposedly they had a bunch of fixes with theater and custom games. I haven't had a chance to really test those out yet. So
hmm.
I mean I will have to keep our eyes open on that. But yeah, season 2 is not going to resolve everything, and it certainly isn't going to make up for the fact that it's still another 6-month season.
And it's I'll throw a little shade now. It- for being a live service game, getting what I would argue two of the modes should have already been in the game at launch. The something like Last Spartan Standing, yeah, whatever. Maybe it should have been in there at launch, but okay, it's a new mode in general for Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Really, this is not a very big. What are the season passes to $10 or whatever, or the
I think so.
battle pass? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems very lackluster of an update that took 6 months to make. And you already ran into a few issues. We'll have to see if there are a lot more introduced or if things are slowly starting to get better. But this is going to be a slow grind, and it's unfortunate for this IP. We joked about it with Final Fantasy. What was it, 14 or whatever? Like honestly, I would be all for 343 saying, "Hey, we're taking it off the shelves," or we're just going to go dark. You can play what's out there now until whenever we release it in the future. But like, just go. I don't know.
I mean,
Needs
that's kind of
fixed.
what the problem is that's kind of what they did. You
Yeah.
know, they we had a gap of 6 months between the launch, and the only thing we really got was a Fracture Tenrai event and big team battle working again. And that was, I think we got a couple of little minor patches with some tweaks here and there. And I mean, that, that, the that 6-month gap felt so dry as far as like content. Not just
Yep.
content, but just like they weren't even putting out like they weren't even putting out like hardly any balance patches or any major fixes to some of like these big bugs that were crashing. Like, we had to wait until this season 2 update to hopefully fix a bunch of PC crashes that were happening. That was part of the
Yeah.
patch notes. And why that couldn't have been, I mean, I guess, maybe they didn't fix it all the way up until like a week ago or a couple weeks ago before they greenlit the build, but you know
The UI couldn't
it's
handle it.
been a struggle. It's been a struggle. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how much better it's going to be. I mean, it looks like they're trying to address the content thing first. Supposedly the desync and a lot of the multiplayer issues they do have as a big target that they're working on, but that's really all that we've gotten so far. Is that there's rough estimates of we are working on it. And I mean, we
Yeah.
don't really have much timeline other than between now and November is when season 2 to 3 is going to last. And supposedly we're going to be getting things like Forge Beta and Infection, I think.
Well, yeah, let's jump into where I think I'm probably going to get the most salty. Is 3 months. I'm going to start out here with a nice little jab. It took them 3 months past them promising a roadmap to actually release it. Towards the end of April, they finally released one, and I was visiting some friends up in Fargo over the weekend when I saw this update, and I lost it. Like they basically what's happening is most of the stuff they have on the roadmap for season 2 and 3 are targeted, which is a safe way of saying, hey, this is the date we'd like to hit, but there's a good chance it could be, delayed even further. And we also got the news that season 2 is 6 months long again, and I guarantee you season 3 will be the same. So get used to content droughts unless they're
Mm-hmm.
actually are able to fix their process to be able to iterate and release faster, which you know I doubt is going to happen. And again, the thing that kind of, I mean, at this point, I'm just read it and get frustrated, and I go about my day because Halo's not really on my mind anymore. But the campaign co-op network play, right? Not even split screen, is targeted for the end of August, along with mission replay. These are two things, again, we argued should have been in there from the start. They
Mm-hmm.
promised it was going to be season 2, which is funny because in a way they've just kept delaying these things farther and farther out. Because initially, I don't ever think they ever said it, but the standard is like 3-ish months for a season, right? So when they push season 1 to be 6 months, in a way they were kind of delaying all these promises about having co-op campaign and forge in season 2 and in season 3, right? And they've kind of essentially they're just giving themselves like they won't. It's almost like they don't want to change and say, "Hey, really, co-op campaign is going to be season 3, and then Forge will be season 4." They're just going, "Well, we don't want to change that and that expectation. Let's just make the seasons 6 months long, right?" So we're basically still delaying it, pushing it out farther. It's
Mm-hmm.
just now it's we're not. It's all within a season because we never promised seasons to be 3 months or 4 months or whatever, right? So it's just, yeah, it's frustrating. For someone like me who, at least as far as co-op was concerned, that's how I used to play Halo. Just with a buddy, and we downloaded on launch night and play through it together. And heck, almost if they hit their target of the end of August, that's what 10 months later, 9 months later. What's math? Do math here.
Mm,
End of August would be 8 months. It released in December, so 9 months, or roughly. Whatever.
roughly, yeah.
Yeah, you can. We'll see when they actually ship it, but yeah, roughly 9 months later. It's just crazy. And then the split screen co-op was pushed into season 3. So if you're one of the, and that was a big promise that 343 said they would fix for Halo Infinite, because
Yeah,
they didn't have split screen.
they got shit on for that, for not having that in Halo 5.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when Halo 5 launched, seeing all these people that came out. It was typically parents, right, that have kids that are old enough to play games with them, that are like, you just me and my son, or me and my daughter, or whatever, or some of the games allow more than one person, right? We would run through this together at home. And like, yeah, they took a lot of flack with Halo 5, and the fact that we're now pushing it over a year out to be able to do that is, again, just crazy. For a game, we've said this again when these were announced last fall. A game for an IP that really relied on playing together with friends and creating your own content. So Forge and co-op. Again, you can argue Forge wasn't there from the beginning, but whatever. It's been a big part of Halo and its success since it was introduced in 3. That both of these missing really are hurting the community, and it just sucks that it just keeps getting pushed and pushed. Again, we can argue they're still hitting their season 3 date for Forge, but again, when you keep pushing and making the launch windows bigger by making seasons 6 months long instead of something a little bit more industry standard, you're still delaying it. You're just cheating, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, supposedly they're going to be hopefully addressing more of these issues quicker. That was something that Joe Staten talked about when they were doing this community update, was that they want to start releasing monthly patches to try and address more of like more along the lines I think of like the bug fixes, maybe not so much the content, but like
Mm-hmm.
more like bug fixes and regular updates and things like that to the game, balance changes and all that, with their monthly patches. Oh, they call them drop pods, which is silly. Patches. That's what they are. They're gonna be patches.
Yeah, but
Um,
they want to sound cool.
yeah, it's drop pods. What it really
I,
means
I
is,
mean,
yeah, it's, balance patches or bug fixes and things like that.
yeah, we like it's common for me anymore with Halo stuff. But I remember when we were recording the Halo TV show episode. It's like at this, I mentioned at this point I'm nitpicking because the rest of the show isn't, things that I could overlook or maybe say, oh, this was kind of cool. Drop Pods, it's a cool name, but since I'm already frustrated with the company, it's like you guys are idiots. Just call it what it is. They're just
Mm-hmm.
patches. Don't try to be cool. Get the working game. Get a game that's content complete, and then let's talk about being fancy with what we call things, right?
Right. And I think, I mean, the kind of the soiled first impression of the game really is going to be biting them in the ass in the very, very long term.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Yeah.
any time that they release a seasonal update now, it's just going to be, how much did they not deliver at this
Yeah.
point in time? I mean, maybe I'm being overly dramatic or something, but it's kind of
No.
like, I don't know. It's kind of when you get a first impression and it's a bad one, and then you just kind of expect that either if, if like you meet somebody and they're just an absolute asshole, and then maybe they turn it around like 3 months later after you've met them, but you always kind of expect them to be an asshole after that.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
know. And then so
I
you
mean, to
treat
your
them a little different, even if they're not being an asshole to you right then and there. You might just treat them a little differently.
yeah. No, I mean, mark my words here. In about 2 to 3 weeks, we'll probably start getting the first peeps out of what content creators are left creating content for
Mm-hmm.
Halo, talking about how there's nothing there, only 2 maps and 3 modes, and they've gonna already burn through their season pass. So you're gonna start getting at least the content creator, the streamers, those people are gonna start complaining, and then give it another couple weeks, and the wider audience will probably start complaining. And again, we're gonna see numbers drop. I don't know if this is gonna breathe enough life into the game, the season 2 update, but what life there is in the next probably week, 2 weeks, is probably going to start trickling down again to just very low numbers. And yeah, but it's just yeah, it's unfortunate that they released it in such a state because there's so many people like me who, I honestly I really kind of only keep up for it to covering the podcast here, so, because it is such a big game and it has been a big game, part of our lives, Rich and myself. But honestly, I don't even, like I said, I don't think about it. I read this, got frustrated, and then went back to, I think we were shooting zombies at the time, me and my buddies. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just, you know, and I bet there's plenty of people out there like me that are just like, call me, what is it? Call me in 5 years when this is actually a fully functioning, game and has all the content, kind of like what we've done with Master Chief Collection. It's in a good
Mm-hmm.
state now,
Oh
because
yeah,
it's got
Master
so
Chief
much.
Collection is fine. It just took a really long time to get there,
Yeah.
which is a bummer. I mean, like we said, like I'm a little bummed about it because this game had a lot of hype around it, and it is a little sad when I'm kind of just kind of browsing social media, and really I don't see hardly any buzz for season 2. Like nobody's
Yeah.
there's like hardly anybody's talking about it. I don't remember how I even remembered that there was oh, I just all I saw was that there was a patch on Halo Infinite for on Steam, and I was like, "Oh, season 2 must have dropped." And then I looked and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what happened." But
Yeah.
like yeah, I don't see like hardly any buzz about any excitement about season 2 being here. It's just kind of like a lukewarm sort of feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just to mention here, just to say a couple good things about it. They did say in a live stream that they what does they say? Acknowledge they missed the mark on player kits and cores in season 1, and at some point in the future here, you will be able to start kind of swapping. They're going to still keep the core system, so don't believe all those clickbaity headlines. Cores will still be there. It's more of the ability to, again, maybe you can explain a little bit more, Rich, but like cross use some of the components from the different cores or something like that. I guess the cosmetics will be not locked to all or as many core or as little cores as they are now. Um,
Yeah. So I think just in
so,
general, like you're not going to be restricted on the color palettes of your armor core as much with the
mhm.
pieces, so you're not going to go and like buy like a helmet or a body armor and you can't use your color on it because it's not the right core.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's something that they're looking to address as well. But
The other
like,
good news. What? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
I was just saying the other good news is, and we mentioned this before, but it's a popular thing I think with a lot of live service games is if you complete the battle pass, you'll earn enough credits to basically buy stuff in a store if you want, or enough credits to just buy next season's season pass, right?
Yep.
Or
Yep, that's
battle
pretty
pass or
standard.
whatever we're calling it. Yeah. So they
Yep.
introduced that this season, which is good news. So
That is good. And like I said at the beginning of this, Last Spartan Standing, actually fun. Like it's
mhm.
actually pretty fun. I do like it. Will it hold my
Fun.
interest? I don't know. Yeah,
A
it's
couple
just
days
hard
and then you'll.
to. We have 3 maps, right? We have 3 maps to play Last Spartan Standing on, and I don't know. It might retain its fun. If a battle royale can maintain being fun for so long, and it's usually on a pretty low number of maps, then I think it should be pretty fine.
Yep. Should be pretty good. But got any last words for Halo?
No,
We're
I
gonna
think
move into
we beat that one into the ground.
yeah. We're gonna move into what I'm excited to talk about.
Yes, this is the
We
good
knew this
part.
was yeah we knew this was coming as far as it was on their roadmap. When we don't know, but we know that the next update, which I think is update 12 for Hell Let Loose, we are getting night maps, which
Woo!
is
Oh man,
amazing.
I can't wait for to see some of these maps at night, dude. Oh my god, this is gonna be fun.
They've been sharing screenshots of a few of the maps during night. And by the way, this isn't like just they even call it out. It's not just like pitch black. You might be better to call it like low light maps, basically like your dusk and
Mm-hmm.
dawn, right? Because a pitch black map, right, is not going to be fun, right?
Right.
So,
But like a
they've
low
yeah.
light Karen Tan or something like that, or low light Foy. Oh,
Well,
oh,
I was thinking they recently just and I shared them on our Twitter, so be sure to follow there for some cool stuff like this that I'll tweet out. Is they shared a picture of Kursk, which was low light, but that's like super wide open. But
right.
they're introducing kind of like some fog too in some of the maps to kind of go with the low light to hide some other things. And it's just like I'm actually kind of excited to play Kursk because being able to sneak across those really open fields, where it's low light and then having that fog to kind of cover your movement will just kind of
Mm-hmm.
change how you play that game or play that map because that's just a crazy trench warfare or run out in the open and die kind of map.
Yeah,
And
that one can be a
yes.
real meat grinder at times.
hmm
Yeah.
and they even shared pictures of the other thing we were excited about the other week that they announced is the new map Remagen. They showed some pictures of that at night. So I'm sure if the middle bridge across the river is the point to capture, I'm sure it's still going to be just lit up by like artillery. But between fog and low light, it might be a little easier to kind of sneak across the bridge or something, or make some moves and yeah, it's just I'm excited. I can't wait for
Oh
these
yeah.
maps to drop, this
But that
update
I
to
mean,
drop.
and that's not it, right? Aren't they adding
Yep.
in a new class too? Like a new like role?
Uh, I don't think so, or I missed it. What role are you
Oh
thinking?
no, this is never mind. I misread this. For the
Oh,
spotter
gotcha.
role, you get the flare
The flare gun.
guns. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you threw me. I'm like, what did I miss? Oh
Right.
shit.
No, no, no. This is for the sniper squads. You get flares.
Yeah. So what's kind of pretty cool is I don't know if this was real life. I guess I could Google it, but they so which team is shooting off the flares. Allies will have kind of greenish light flare, and Axis will have kind of a red. But yeah, each Soviets, Germans, and the Americans will have their own flare guns that their spotters can use to help light up areas. But be careful because you're going to see a trail of light and smoke coming from where it was shot at. So it's not like, so if you're a spotter that's got a good position, you're basically going to give your spot away if there are people nearby to see where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
They also were mentioning how this isn't just like sometimes you see in movies and stuff. I also don't know if this is how flare guns work, but how they're going to make them work in the game is you can't just like shoot them at the ground, right? They'll go out or won't light, right? You actually do have to shoot them far enough in the air so that they essentially kind of like deploy and light, right?
Yeah.
So, this
And
won't
so
be just like, oh, shoot it into that empty house to light it up. No, you gotta,
and it's
if
more
you
or
do
less
it.
like a. Just go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say this is more or less like a mini recon plane, right? That
Yep.
you're gonna be able to like so you shoot out these flares. I don't know. Do they only work at night? I guess I wasn't sure if that was clear or not. Is
I
that if they
haven't,
only work at night because it like so it'll illuminate the area obviously, but on your
yeah.
map I think it's going to also mark where bad guys are, similar to the recon plane.
Yep. Within a what is it, 50-meter radius for 30 seconds. Yeah.
Not
I
huge,
don't.
yeah. Not a huge like it's like what half of one of like the squares on the map or something like that, or like a
Yeah.
third or something. I don't remember how big
Yeah.
those are.
But to your question, I don't know if you'll be able to use these. I wonder if you'll even have the option to pick these on a daytime map, or if these will
Yeah.
only be restricted to being able to have a flare during nighttime games. That's a good
Hmm.
question. I didn't see anything on that.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see. It'll be interesting regardless. I'm actually excited to see what we can do with that. And I'm really excited to see Remagen, like that giant ass bridge that we're gonna have to be fighting on.
Hmm.
That's gonna be a meat grinder trying to
Yep.
fight over that point.
Yeah, and they actually acknowledged that in the most recent update where they talked about the night maps is there. And I think this is kind of one of the cool things on how they develop maps. You can sit here and argue whether you like the map or not, but sometimes they design maps this way. That's Kursk is a very like I was saying, you fight in the trenches, or if you have artillery that's good, you got to use smoke to move into take positions. And
Sure.
they're saying with Remagen, like they know that could be a bloodbath, right? But that's where you're going to really need to use things like the airhead wisely and uh, and artillery because you'll need to cover or make pushes. You will be able to, obviously it's a wide open bridge, so you'll be able to kind of shoot from either side. The other thing they point out too is a lot of people called it out looking at the map is they they design these to be it's a video game, so there's going to be changes, but historically accurate, right? And
Yes.
the U.S. has a direct line to the bridge, a road where the Germans have high ground. So even it like because people were commenting about how unbalanced that was going to be, the Americans are going to have an unfair advantage. Well, yeah, they might be able to get it first, but the Germans are going to have the high ground and be able to just sit up on the bridge and drop rockets and obviously have snipers and shoot with
Mm-hmm.
their carabiner 98Ks down there,
They got
and
cover.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's they definitely acknowledge there's going to be a bloodbath, but that's kind of just the way it is, right? And obviously they're play testing it. They're going to have a what do they call them? PTE. What I forget what the public test environment I think is what it is, right? Where
Sure.
they'll have
Yeah.
they'll work things out, but they definitely want to stay away from like adding other ways to cross the river that weren't things that are already in the game. In this case, a bridge or the airhead, right? And if you're
Right.
using the airhead right, you know, unlike some commanders that they'll like might just drop it on the other side of the bridge, you're going to want to drop it really far away, get a foothold, and then move that move your forces that way. Build a garrison so people can spawn on the other side of the river and push from whatever direction you're trying to attack the
Yep.
point from to take the bridge. So
Honestly,
uh,
regardless, I'm pretty excited to see this map. I'm really excited to get to start playing on it. I mean, I still don't think that they have a release date for it, right? I think you said that
I
earlier.
yeah, I haven't seen uh, anything on when it's coming out. Just I imagine if they're starting to share stuff the next month or two, but I don't know. I really don't know. That's just me guessing.
Okay. Well, regardless, I mean, I play machine gun, as you know, so I can't wait to start mowing people off that bridge. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh,
My kill count's gonna be great.
just think getting like if you're the Germans sitting up on that hill with the MG42, just
Mm-hmm.
raining fire down on that bridge. That is gonna be sick.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or when we play tank occasionally, we sitting on the other side of the bridge and then just trying to blow up those machine gun nests.
Start
Yeah,
shooting into the hill and getting a bunch of kills. Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Oh, it'll be
I'm
fun.
excited. Some again, not hard dates, but some news for anybody that's listening that actually plays this on console. I did see a tweet where somebody asked the Hell Let Loose Twitter, like, "Hey, when?" So console players are still an update behind. They still don't have the Eastern Front, right? And a whole bunch of updates and performance fixes and things like that. Somebody asked like when that's coming, and they did say soonish. I think was the quote. So hopefully you console players will get update soon, because even though Kursk is a bloodbath and oh shit, what was the other Russian map? I just blanked on it. What was the second Russian
The
map?
the
I
s- the
completely
city the city map,
Stalingrad.
Stalingrad. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Kursk is a bloodbath, and Stalingrad is just scary. They are
It is
still
scary.
really fun to play.
Yeah.
Again, it's all about having different experiences, and then hopefully you have a squad that can adjust and play and do whatever you're trying to do, right? Attack, defend,
Mm-hmm.
flank, and outmaneuver the teams. So they definitely
Right.
aren't just trying to make some generic, Call of Duty or Battlefield game.
True.
Got to use your brain
You got to be
a little bit at least.
tactical.
A little bit at least. But yeah. Any last thoughts on Hell Let Loose?
No, I don't think so. No, they just need to give me a release date or
Yeah.
patch. I'll take either.
Yeah. Something soon. I'm just
I'm
can't
ready.
wait. Can't wait. It's gonna be a good time. That's kind of our major topics. We do have a few little tidbits left here to go over here. Ubisoft games are coming to Game Pass here, specifically Assassin's Creed Origins and For Honor Marching Edition. But the kind of thought-provoking thing here is if they're bringing more Ubisoft games to Game Pass, will we potentially see Ubisoft, what do we call it? Ubisoft's Uplay come to Game
Yep.
Pass, much like EA Play did? Do you think that might happen soon?
Maybe that, or they'll do. Yeah, actually, probably. Yeah, I think they'll probably do like a. Oh, what is it's called? Well, it's called EA Play. So maybe you play. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have Ubisoft's service on Game Pass, I would imagine. Though I don't. Well, I don't remember if you pay that as like a subscription service like you do with EA Play
I think
already.
they have one similar. I think actually part of that Luna service from Amazon. I
Got
think
it.
that's it's been a while since I've looked at Luna, but uh, it is, I think, a service that you can pay similar to EA Play. Because you can subscribe to EA Play separately. But
Hmm.
no, if you play or whatever Ubisoft's going to call it comes to Game Pass, it's only going to get that much better. At least value wise, and the amount of games and content you get.
Right. Or they're getting ready to shut it down. Can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine that UPlay is being super successful for them, and maybe they just want to close it out. Who
Hmm.
knows?
And I mean, Game Pass has been successful, and EA Play is still sticking around as part of the ultimate service. So, EA must be pretty happy, and maybe Ubisoft wants in on some of that good old cash from Game Pass.
Who wouldn't?
I mean, I'd want some too, but instead I'm paying for it. But Sonic Origins, it announced it's coming June 23rd for PlayStation, basically the PlayStation systems, the Xbox system, Switch, and PC. It includes what we got here: Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic CD, Sonic Hedgehog 2, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So this actually looks pretty cool because it's they did a pretty good job of kind of upgrading a lot of the visuals and making it run better.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we got here? We got anniversary mode, features full screen display, infinite live, so kind of typical touch for some of those older games. Kind of give ways to kind of keep playing. In all fairness, I love a lot of those older games, but they were hard and really kicked your ass, and were not very forgiving. Kind of the right, I mean, I definitely as a kid didn't get very far in Sonic,
I
honestly.
loved the Sonic games. I loved
Hmm.
those like the Sega Genesis like Sonic games. That was so good.
Yeah. But yeah, various ways to kind of play classic modes, kind of vintage mode. I think you can probably do like one of those like old CRT screen kind of overlays. Yeah. So it's looks pretty cool. And what was it? I think I missed out the best part. Did I write it down? I didn't write it down, I don't think. Damn it. They have like new animation like cutscenes and things for the games too. So it looks looking pretty cool. But yeah, might have to pick that up. It's been a while since I played a Sonic. But did you ever play Tales? Well, no, you've played Borderlands, right? Borderlands 2,
Yeah.
right? Hey,
I've
did you
never
ever
played
play
Tales from the Borderlands though.
Tales from the Borderlands? Originally developed by Telltale before they went under. They had the first Tales from the Borderlands. I actually played it. It was pretty fun. It typical Telltale game. If you've played one, you've kind of played them all. Just different stories or characters type situation. But overall, I liked it. Recently, I think what do we have? We just had PAX East. Randy Pitchford came out and mentioned that they are creating a new Tales from the Borderlands. They are developing it in-house at Gearbox. It'll cover new characters and stories. Again, it's kind of similar fashion to, I imagine, the Borderlands games, where it's probably going to focus on like all new characters, but you're going to see some of the old characters kind of coming in and returning for whether they're kind of cameos or main roles or things like that. If you play the Borderlands games, you're familiar with this, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and what's crazy about this is actually coming sometime this summer. So they've
That's soon.
and it's crazy they were able to keep it under wraps for this long. I didn't hear a peep about this or any rumors about this
I don't think no,
beforehand.
yeah, I don't think any of us did.
Yeah. Something that's not good at keeping rumors and leaks at bay, is Skull and Bones. There's been a lot of rumors on that the last couple months. We've chatted about it before, about how it's been revamped, issues at I think it's Ubisoft Singapore, I think is where it's being developed, all sorts of stuff. But they on Reddit just a few days ago, there was some leaked footage of like a kind of demo, or I think it's a test build for like some insiders and stuff like that. So we actually finally got to see some gameplay, and honestly, I don't know how you felt. It was kind of lackluster. It kind of looked a little bit almost like a Sea of Thieves, kind
Yeah, I
of.
mean, yeah, just from well, the video that got leaked almost looked like it was like a reveal, like an E3 reveal is what it
Yeah,
looked like. It was like a marketing video is what it seemed like. It had a lot of
it's
like it talked over a lot of like the different features.
mm-hmm,
You had a voiceover kind of explaining all of the different stuff that's in the game and all that. And yeah, I mean, like honestly, I wasn't super impressed because I think I almost like Sea of Thieves better. I mean,
mm-hmm,
I haven't tried this game yet, but I like the idea of Sea of Thieves better because it feels like I have a lot more control over what's going on the boat. I'm just one small part of the whole boat. Whereas
yeah,
in this game, it was like, you control the whole boat. You kind of have to, micromanage like all the different crew members on your boat, and it sounds
mm-hmm,
like you're not the one sitting in the cannon firing it like you are in Sea of Thieves. It's like you have a bunch of AI people sitting on your boat doing stuff. So it's just like,
yeah,
yeah, like it seems like they took a lot of ideas from Sea of Thieves as well, with like how you're gathering like missions and things like that, and you have to go sail the seas, and like the way that they were describing the missions, I'm like, this sounds exactly like Sea of Thieves. Like
yeah,
the things that you do sound like exactly Sea of Thieves.
yeah. And to your point, yeah, it actually all the video that was leaked did almost feel like that kind of gameplay slash like tutorial on some of the cool stuff that'll be in the game that you would see at something like an E3 or whatever their Ubisoft showcase or something like that. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to see if that ends up being what we get whenever Ubisoft gets around to announcing it. But the other thing too is you never played Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, did you?
No.
So people that have played this, uh, basically kind of what you were saying, Rich, with how you're one person on this, one small piece on this bigger boat, and you got to work together. I mean, what they showed and how you kind of control everything as a captain there is actually kind of how, or which is kind of how it works in Black Flag, right? It's not that kind of individual role. You steer the ship, you have ways of aiming your cannons and shooting it. And so anybody, basically what I'm saying is anybody familiar with Black Flag will kind of see that this will be familiar for them, right? It's kind of in line with how the boats and everything functioned in Black Flag. So it to
Mm.
me, there's no surprise there, especially since this was originally kind of spawned off of how successful Black Flag was, which was, in my opinion, a really good sailing and pirate game, not a very good Assassin's Creed game. But I definitely had a ton of fun playing it back. What are we at? Almost 10 years ago? Was it 2013, I think, when it launched, Black Flag? So,
Something like that.
yeah, so it's crazy it took this long to potentially have Skull and Bones come out. But yeah, it sounded like they had a lot of troubled waters
Ha
there at
ha!
Ubisoft Singapore they had to navigate through.
You got them.
Uh, but yeah, so when we actually get some real hard information, or we see a real reveal video, obviously we'll chat more and give you more of our thoughts when we see some stuff that isn't just leaked. The last bit of news, which I personally find exciting since I'm a fanboy, Microsoft finally announced when their Xbox and Bethesda games showcase will take place. That will be Sunday, June 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So that is 1 p.m. Eastern time for all you
Nice.
Eastern folk out there.
We're gonna have a
Right? Did I
watch
do the math
party,
there right? Did I do the
live
math right
stream
there?
it.
Yeah, because okay, making sure. I'm pretty sure I got my math right, or I just said the wrong thing. But yeah, hopefully we can maybe set up a stream or something we can do like last year. That'd be exciting. We just found out,
Mm-hmm.
so we're still in the early stages of our planning on how we're going to tackle this. But it's exciting. I saw some rumors today that supposedly, I think we have like 20 plus studios, whatever, over there at Microsoft Game Studios now.
It's a fair amount.
Supposedly, each and every one of those studios submitted at minimum one thing for this showcase. There were
Wow.
reportedly a few of those studios that actually submitted a few things. Now, take that how you want. It could be they have multiple games in the work. It could be just maybe they want to do an announcement trailer and then kind of like a tutorial video, like we were talking with Skull and Bones or something like that, right? Again, take this with a grain of salt. This was all kind of whatever leaked, and but it's surprising and kind of leads into what I was saying earlier of how it's been about 3 to 5 years since Microsoft has acquired a lot of these studios, and I think we're starting to see the outcome of or the fruits from the labor there. The actual games kind of seeing daylight, uh, and probably new stuff being announced by a few of them as well.
Can't wait. It's gonna be really fun.
It's going to be lit. I'm excited.
Liddy.
It's just a bummer. Usually that was the mark, like the starting mark of E3, and then we'd have a good week of goodness. But
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait till next year to go to E3 in person.
to be honest, though, from a podcasting side, it might be better this way to have spread that content out. I had a ton of fun last year doing our E3 coverage, but man, that was
That
a long
was
week.
that was a lot of fun though. But yeah, it
We
sounds
think
like
we,
we don't have as much to cover even this year around because everybody's kind of spread out.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, it'll be all over the place. So, but again,
Yep.
it'll be a little easier for us to cover it, but a little less exciting just getting that whole week of essentially gamer Christmas. But oh
Mm-hmm.
well,
Keep your ears
hopefully
peeled. We'll
next year.
probably have something.
Yep. Watch our, there you go. Be sure to check out campfiregamingpodcast.com, where you can find links to all our socials, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as well as link to our Discord. And I'm sure once we kind of figure out what's going on, that's where we'll announce it, as well as I'm sure bring it up on the podcast too. But it's a little quicker to do on socials. But yeah, is there anything else we missed this week, or any last words, Rich, on some of the
Any
stuff we
last
chatted about
words?
here?
You about to kill
Yeah.
me? Nope, I got
Yeah.
nothing.
It'll be just me next week.
Gonna
So
make me walk the plank.
yep. I'll do two voices next week since I'm taking you out. But anyways, no, Rich will be back next week. So So yeah, it'll be exciting. But thanks for joining us tonight. Had a blast. And until next time, we'll see you around the campfire.